Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make the SmartPod case. And so to start with the SmartPod case, it's a circle, so we want to add a circle on Blender. And all you do is you go over to this left hand panel, you click create circle. So next you want to make sure that the circle is set to a high vertice number, so it's a smooth when you print it out. The first time we did this we made it like 30 and it wasn't smooth at all, so let's set it to something around 200 or 250. We'll go for 250. So now there's 250 vertices making the circle. Next, you want to come over down here, go from object mode to edit mode, and you can see there's 200 vertices, or 250 vertices, going around the circle. So next, since this is just a two-dimensional object, we want to make it three-dimensional and make a base layer for our case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this up by pressing S. So if you press S, you can make the circle bigger or smaller. Next, we're going to press E and press Enter. Now that just duplicated the point. So now there's two sets of points on top of each other. So when we scale it again by pressing S, we have a layer. So now you can see there's an actual plane here. So now, if I want to fill this in, what I can do is I can just press F. And now that is the rest of it filled in. So now, say I only want to select this outside layer, so I can extrude it upward. I can press Alt and click on the outside layer here, and hit Shift and Alt. Shift holds and allows you to select multiple things. Press Shift and Alt here. So now everything is selected. And I can go to face select mode here and deselect that one face. And there you go. We have that selected. Now, to extrude it upward, you press E and extrude it upward like that. So now you can put your Raspberry Pi and all your sensors inside here. So next, here on the SmartPod case, we had a name on it. We just had SmartPod, and that's where we use the tool called Knife Project. So next, we want to go back to object mode. So back over here to object mode, and we want to create some text. So create, and come down here to text. And you can see that we created text, and you can use the little pan tools to move it so you can see it. And we want it to say SmartPod. So let's press Tab and type in SmartPod. There you go. So now we want this to be on the side of the case. So we're going to have to rotate this. And the keyboard command for rotate is R90 in either X, Y, or Z. In our case, we want X. There you go. So you're pressing R90 and then X. And now you can use the pan tools again to bring it up front. So now this looks a little big to fit on the front of our SmartPod case. So you can scale it down by pressing S and adjust it accordingly. Now comes the fun part. You are going to knife project the SmartPod logo or the SmartPod text onto the actual case. So now there's a few things we need to do before we do that. We need to make sure the SmartPod isn't a text object anymore and it's an actual mesh object. So to do that, you go down to press Object, come up here, Convert to Mesh from text. So you click on that. And now when you go into edit mode, you see how it has that weird stuff. And we want to get rid of that. And we want it to just be an outline of a text. So to do that, you press A to select all of it. Delete. Limited dissolve. And you limited dissolve of all those points. Now, to delete the faces, you press delete. Only faces. So now you can see how you have an outline of your actual text. And you can see here that there's some weird lines. And you can just use your line select tool, which is down here, and you can delete those if you'd like, but I think I'm going to keep them. It doesn't really affect anything at all. So next, you want to prepare your actual case for knife projecting. So you press Tab on your case, and you can see how there's only straight lines. You want to make sure that this has a lot of faces and a lot of lines that it can project onto. So I'm going to go over here loop, cut, and slide. And I'm just going to go to there. And now look how many lines I made. So now that should knife project really nicely onto the case. So now for the knife projecting. You select SmartPod. You select the other one, tab, knife project. Oops. Let's redo that. Okay, so you select the SmartPod, you select the case, tab, and knife project. And now it takes a little bit to load. But now look, SmartPod is now on the side of your case. And what you can do from here is you can extrude inward or outward. But first you want to make sure that everything's selected properly because it's not the most reliable tool, so you can take your face select and deselect things you want to deselect and reselect things that you want to select. So you can see right here, that didn't get selected. So select those, the R. There you go, that looks good. Now, to prepare for dual extrusion, what it is, I extruded this inward, so it actually cut a hole in the case. You can see now there's a hole. So I just pressed E and extruded it inward. Then I pressed P to separate it. And the separation is right here, the circle.001. And you can press A and extrude that back outward. So now we have two separate objects. We have the object of the case and we have the object of the SmartPod. And that is how I made the SmartPod case. So now all you would do next is you would export the SmartPod text. You can see how the text is right here. You would export that, export this, put it into MakerWare, and assign them two different colors. And thank you for watching this tutorial.